Hello YouTube and welcome to the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. And today I want to continue the discussion about how to take responsibility and consciously interact with this shift that is happening. In order to make this shift, though, we will have to take on the mindset of a warrior, which is why I am asking you to join the army of interdimensional warriors, because your 3D weapons will no longer work against the elites. All right. And we will just go ahead. I'm going to go over, we talked about this before, but it's worth looking at again. 10 ways to guarantee your shift to 5D, because the solar flash ascension process is underway as we speak. We'll get into that. All right. So I'm able now to do live streams again because my internet is now working better than it was. But it's up to you whether I keep doing these live streams. If people aren't showing up and if people aren't participating and asking questions, I know I make it challenging for you to ask questions, but there's no need to do live streams if people aren't going to be interacting. So make use of this. Ask your questions. Share your thoughts and your feelings. Because I'm more than happy to go back to just, uploading videos, once a day and then just putting it as a premiere, and it works a lot better with my schedule. But I love doing these live streams, but you guys have to show up. And so we'll see what happens. So, all right. So why am I doing this video today? I am going in a direction that I would not have gone in a year ago. If you were to talk to me a year ago, I would have and said that I was going to be making these kinds of videos talking about ascending to 5D and talking to interdimensional beings and star seeds, and I would have said it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of wishful thinking, and it's a bunch of new agey kind of stuff that people get into when they're in a lot of emotional pain and they just don't want to face reality. But then I had, as you know, a lot of experiences that started in June of 2022, almost a year ago, about 11 months ago. And that experience has been ongoing and has completely changed my reality. However, I'm still stuck with some challenges, which are, I don't know what the percentage is, but a large percentage of people who follow these kinds of things tend to be exactly the kind of people that I talked about. And, people who've been traumatized, who've been in a lot of pain, who are struggling to, find their sense of self, their self-esteem. These people tend to gravitate towards beliefs that are devaluing. And they tend to gravitate towards beliefs that are rooted in fear, victim mentality. They tend to gravitate towards beliefs where they're, on two extremes, sometimes in the same moment, where they're in denial of their feelings and pretending that everything is love and light, and simultaneously full of self-righteous anger and judgment. People who believe in things like, draconian serpent beings that are coming here, lizard beings that are coming here to destroy you and suck the life out of you, who listen to, I forget the guy's name. I'm really tired. I went surfing this morning, so I'm kind of sleepy. But if I could remember his name, the guy that started this whole a reptilian. The elites are reptilians. These are the kinds of things that people tend to believe in, who also are going to be attracted to the videos that I'm making. So let me be clear about something. I wish I could remember his name. Who is the guy? Who is the guy? He was a soccer player, and he's been doing this whole the elites are shape-shifting reptilians. Who is that guy? If you listen to him when asked how he came up with this belief, if you really listen to how flimsy it is, he will say, well, I heard somebody who was working as a cleaning staff for one of the royals, and they turned around the corner, and the Prince of Wales or the Queen was a lizard and then shifted themselves back. This is the evidence this guy uses for this belief. Thank you, David Icke. If you look at this guy, this is the guy who, when he first decided he was going to go into this realm and become a spiritual, whatever the heck he's doing, and he got out of sports, he said he was the second coming of Christ. He said he was the Son of God. This is who you guys are listening to. He's bonkers. He's nuts. He has serious mental health issues. But it's popular because people have had tremendous challenges in the third dimension. The third dimension is a very, very difficult place for the soul to experience itself. So your instincts are correct when you feel as though you are being held captive in a prison planet. Your instincts are correct when you feel as though there must be some powerful beings out there who have unbelievable amounts of resources and technology and are manipulating us and using us. And it's not a very far leap to go from that accurate feeling, but you don't have any way of proving it. You just have this feeling, combined with the fact that you've lived in a three-dimensional world that is challenging and difficult, and gives you the illusion that you're isolated and that you live in an empty universe that doesn't love you, which is, by the way, an illusion. It's not the truth. But it's very easy to go from that feeling where you don't have any evidence, and all somebody has to do is come along and say, yeah, so you need to understand that there are these magical shape-shifting lizard beings who came from Saturn, and then you've got Zecharia Sitchin, who made up that whole thing. He consciously mistranslated the Sumerian mythology and turned it into something it wasn't, which was astronauts coming from other planets and taking humans as slaves. All of those things, it's very easy to make the shift from I actually feel this and I know it to be true, and somebody coming along and giving you this nonsense, because it helps relieve the feeling that you're going crazy. You know something's up. You can't put your finger on it. You definitely, and you've been hurt and you're in a lot of pain and you have a lot of fear and you can't put your finger on it, and then David Icke shows up and gives you this stuff. It's very easy to just jump onto that. And it's frustrating. That's why I never believed in any of that stuff. Because I have the ability to know when something is nonsense. Now, I was wrong about all of the stuff surrounding the... I was wrong about that. But I'm not wrong about what I just got through talking about. And so we are. Unfortunately, what happened is Some people got some real information. How they got it, I don't know. Some real information about a shift, an ascension, shifting to a higher vibrational frequency, which people are calling 5D. Some people got that information, either they downloaded it or it was given to them in meditation or intuition or dreams or out of body, I don't know what. But that stuff started getting conflated with all of the David Icke nonsense. And so you end up with a lot of people who can't tell the difference. And the reason why this is important, I want you to listen to me very carefully. The reason why this is important is because this shift that is happening is a shift that you have to participate in. You have to choose to make it. It's not going to happen to you. And that's not entirely true. It is going to happen to you. But if you are not cooperating with the shift, you will run away from it. And I'm going to tell you something else that you're not going to want to hear. Those of you listening to me who are filled with rage, you're filled with anger, you're filled with self-righteous judgment, and you want to see the elites suffer. You take self-righteous joy out of the thought of the elites not making it into ascension and being trapped in a hellish prison, lower 2D Earth planet. If you have those feelings, I am telling you, you are in direct opposition to the ascension energy that is coming for you. We need to grow up. And we do that by doing two things. Number one, we acknowledge that we have been hurt, that we have been damaged, that more than likely the majority of you, if you have these feelings, you went through some trauma as a kid. A lot of people who've been traumatized as a kid aren't conscious of perhaps the subtle ways their parents devalued them, or they're in denial of it. But even those who are conscious of it, who know that their parents damaged them and abused them, they still project all of that pain, all of that anger, all of that hurt, they project it onto the universe at large. And then it becomes easy. It helps, because it's a huge, unbelievably huge thing to say that the beings that are controlling and manipulating you are shape-shifting lizard people from other planets who went to Saturn, and the moon is an empty shell and it's used to recycle the souls, and when you die, these false beings of light trick you into going back into the earth. It's real easy to believe that because those stories are so huge. Finally, you have a story that matches the intensity of the pain that you feel, the fear, the anguish, the confusion. Finally, there's a story that's so big that your feelings now have a justification for it. And this is a lot of what I would have said, a year ago. However, I am here to tell you that we do live in a universe that is populated by an infinite number of higher dimensional beings who have been working with humans since before humans existed. There are higher dimensional beings that have had a hand in the evolution of human beings, and they have a hand in the evolution of human beings now. The difference is you were the one that crafted it. You were the person that sat in those higher dimensional rooms and decided how human beings would evolve. You're the one that sat in those rooms and decided how 3D was going to blind you to your memory of yourself so that you would be forced to overcome fear, insecurity, selfishness, narcissism, all of that. You chose that. And so if we are going to make this ascension, you must choose to go the route of maturity, which means you are going to have to face all of that pain. You're going to have to face all of that loneliness. And you're going to have to make the decision to drop the victim mentality beliefs. The reason why people are so attracted to the idea of shape-shifting reptilians who are creating a hell on earth that you live in is because if you buy into that, you do not take responsibility for your own evolution. Escaping the matrix out of fear and anger and self-righteous, narcissistic feelings of superiority, that is not participating in your ascension. That is escaping. That's why they call it escaping the matrix. You can't escape the matrix. You made it. You designed it this way. So if you want to escape the matrix, you have to shift it. You have to change it. You can't do that if you're escaping. You can't ascend and escape at the same time. And understandably, there's a lot of people who have conflated this. There's a lot of people who want to ascend, talk about ascension, talk about 5D, and at the same time want to run away from the pain that will come when you have to face your ascension. Why is ascension painful, you ask? It's a very good question. The reason why ascension is painful is because the third dimension is a place where you have been programmed by the third dimension itself, by your parents, by religion, by education, by mainstream media. You have been programmed to believe that you are unlovable. This is what the whole Christian religion is based on. That you are sinful and God literally cannot tolerate your existence, so he locks you away in some kind of punishment dimension called hell, which you will spend eternity in simply because when you were born, you weren't lovable enough to God. Again, this is a projection of your parents. This is how you felt as a kid. You couldn't do enough, you couldn't be enough to get your parents' love. Even if you have parents that you still go and hang out with, if you carry these feelings, there's still a feeling that you're not good enough, that there's something missing. All humans have this. So when you face ascension, which will be the energy of very concentrated unconditional love, which is why people are afraid of the light, by the way. People say run from the light, don't go into the light, because when they go into it, the intensity of the unconditional love is so painful, they run away from it. And why is love painful? This is very important. You must understand this. Unconditional love is painful to three-dimensional humans because in order to receive love at that level, you must mourn the loss of the love you never got. Unconditional love, when it hits you, will be so painful to you, you will want to run away. And the reason you will want to run away is because in order to allow that love in, you will have to feel all of the pain and the hurt from being rejected, neglected, abused, devalued on whatever level. And feelings of victim mentality, believing that higher dimensional beings are out to trick you, to abuse you, to keep you trapped in reincarnation. Feelings behind that are, again, you're just projecting your desire to run away from high degrees of unconditional love. According to the Tibetan Buddhists make it very clear that when you die, you have two choices. The first thing that'll happen when you die is that a light will appear. If you go into the light without fear, you will merge into infinity and you will not have to reincarnate again. If, however, when the light appears, you are afraid, you will then shift and you will have to go through all kinds of strange things and then you'll end up being reincarnated again. Now, I'm not saying I believe that, but I believe the essence of that is true. You will seek to reincarnate in order to avoid feeling the pain of the sadness and the rejection that you have experienced here in 3D. Unless you've been doing the work. This is what the 90-day challenge is, in case you want to know. The 90-day challenge is about doing the energy work to allow you to consciously face those wounds within you. Doing the Qigong feels good, and then what happens is issues will come to the surface. This is the same thing with interdimensional meditation, but it's even more intense with that. So, before I get into, somebody threw down opinions. Bear in mind, I don't like opinions. I like questions and feelings. Opinions are assholes. Everybody has one. And if you have an opinion, you can go put it onto your YouTube channel. Also, bear in mind, before I get to it, if you drop an opinion, there's a very good chance I'm going to psychoanalyze you. And I guarantee you, you're not going to like that. I'm going to point out to you all of your fears. Unless you happen to agree with me, in which case, why would you don't need to throw an opinion. I'm just warning you ahead of time. I appreciate the interaction. I am going to read all that stuff when I'm ready for it, but I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. So now let's take a look at the things that you are going to need to do, or I should say 10 things that you can do, that I suggest that you can do, to help be a part of this shift. All right, so these are 10 ways to guarantee your shift to 5D. By the way, before I go any further, every single human being has a ticket for the ascension. Every single human being is invited. By the way, there's no such thing as NPCs. There's no such thing as people that don't have souls. No matter how destructive they are, they have a soul. So grow up. Don't be so judgmental. Stop that garbage. Really offends me. It hurts me when people say that. It's hurtful for me to hear you say that another human being doesn't have a soul. Because what happens if somebody thinks that about you? Those of you who believe in NPCs. What happens if somebody says to you, you know what, I've decided you're an NPC. You don't have a soul. You're nothing. You're nobody. It wouldn't mean anything if you just died. Because you don't have a soul. You don't exist. How would you feel if somebody said that to you? It's an obvious projection. If you say that about other people, it's obvious that's how you feel about yourself on an unconscious level. And so that's why it hurts me when you say that. It hurts me to hear that people honestly don't think that they have a soul, or unconsciously don't think that. Every single human being on this planet has a soul. They're doing their best. I'm not co-signing anybody's destructive behavior, but they are dealing with a challenging three-dimensional experience. All right, let's take a look here. First is to create a relationship with the power inside the sun. The sun is a conscious being. And the sun is going to be the conduit through which the energy from the quantum field, if you want to call it God, you can. Quantum field is going to be sending higher dimensional energy through a wormhole, which I'll talk about in other videos, into the center of the sun, which will then be released during this solar wave period that we are experiencing. By the way, we're about to get hit with some more solar radiation, so who knows, maybe there'll be some more higher dimensional energy coming towards us. I felt it last night. I felt it day before yesterday too. So have a relationship with the sun. You can do that by chanting the Gayatri mantra. Go look that up. You can do that by doing the interdimensional meditation where I go into the sun. I've done it on the channel for free, guided interdimensional meditations to the sun. You can do that. Just talk to the sun. I guarantee you the sun hears you. And one of the most beautiful thing about the sun is that she loves when you show her love. She really, really gets excited if you have loving feelings towards her. So do things, don't do anything stupid, but, maybe at sunset or sunrise, tell the sun how much you love her, how much you appreciate her, soaking in her rays and appreciating and letting her consciously know. Create a relationship with the sun. This will be very helpful to you in terms of your soul. Interdimensional meditation, as I said, you can do that. There's free interdimensional meditations on this channel. Please don't ask me to find you the videos because I would do the exact same thing you would do. Go to the channel page, thunderwizard.com YouTube channel page, and go to, if you're on a laptop, you go to the magnifying glass. I don't know what it's like on a phone or a tablet, but you find where you can search within the channel and just type in interdimensional meditation, and no shortage of videos will come up. I've got a playlist also, so you can do an interdimensional meditation to the sun. You can do energy work and meditation. That's again what the thunderwizard.com Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong is, and that's what, again, the free stuff is on the channel. The Huul breath, H-U-U-L breath, and Awakening the Immortals, as well as Thor's Belt, as well as the Heaven Earth meditation. These are all energy meditations that you can do that, in my opinion, are more powerful than anything you're going to find anywhere else anyway. So you don't have the money or you don't want to spend it for whatever reason, there's free stuff on the channel. If you're really serious, go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, follow the videos, just press play and do what I do. And if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. You got nothing to lose. Make the decision, number 4, to trust the universe. So that's really what I was getting at the beginning of this. A lot of new people are showing up to the channel, and so they just assume, because I use the word starseed and ascension, they just assume that I have this victim mentality, that I have this self-righteous hatred of, the elite. I don't. I see myself in every single one of those people. If you can't do that, you should work towards it. If you can't see yourself in the worst human on the planet, it's going to be challenging for you to love yourself. I believe now that's why I was an actor, because that's when you're an actor, that's what you have to do. And I played a lot of bad guys. So I had to learn how to see myself in the worst characters that I played. And so you have to be able to see, when you look at the darkest person, you have to be able to see yourself in them. If you can't, then you've got to, at the very least, be willing to see yourself in the worst of people. So that is choosing to trust the universe. That's a choice. You can still feel like there are evil draconian lizard people who have magical powers and are trying to do things to you. You can still be afraid of ETs. You can still be afraid of the dark. You can still have all those feelings. But those are just feelings. You can choose to assume, you can choose to believe that the universe is filled with nothing but love for you, and that everything you experience as negative is something solely associated with the third dimension and below. Higher than the third dimension, there is nothing but love. That is a choice that you can make. Again, I'm not telling you this because I read it somewhere. I'm not telling you this because I think it's a good idea or because I want to be a part of some other belief system. I only tell you what I've proven through my experience. I know this because I have journeyed into the universe on multiple levels, and this is what is there. This is what has interacted with me. Every single interdimensional being that's interacted with me has been nothing but pure love. And so I can speak for all extraterrestrial beings that are making it here to Earth and tell you that there is no such thing as an evil extraterrestrial. There is no such thing. The beings that are doing the abducting and the experimenting are humans, not extraterrestrials. That's a whole other subject. Number 5, take fearless action towards your soul desire. So you can't be in fear and be acting towards experiencing your greatest joy. I go surfing as often as I can. I went surfing this morning. I cannot be in a state of fear when I'm surfing, unless the waves are big. But point being is that the action that I'm taking when I go and take my surfboard and drive down to the beach and go out in the water, that action I'm taking is an action towards my greatest happiness. So I can't be taking that action while simultaneously acting out of fear. And you'll notice that people who act out of fear don't do the things that they love. So do the things that make you happy. Take action towards what your soul wants. Make that business, paint that painting, ask that girl out, do something. Take positive action towards what you truly want, regardless of how frightening it is for you. Stop following mainstream media and news. That's pretty obvious. Clean up your body. Here's my suggestions. I guarantee you if you follow these suggestions, you will have an easier time making the shift. Stop drinking alcohol. Stop smoking cigarettes. Stop vaping. Stop dipping. Stop taking THC. Stop doing hallucinogens. Stop eating crappy food. Stop polluting your body. Your body is the antenna through which higher dimensional energy will come. So, if you're having a tough time stopping these things, the thunderwizard.com lightning qigong will be helpful for you. It'll help you detox while allowing your body and your brain to create those feel-good chemicals that all those chemicals are mimicking. So it might be challenging for you, but I guarantee you it will be helpful for you. So clean up your body. Relax into solar vibrations, number 8, that cause false anxiety. So the reason why when the solar radiation hits, myself included, people feel anxiety is because of what I said earlier. The solar radiation has a higher degree of unconditional love. And what happens to somebody who's trapped in 3D when they're hit with higher dimensional love? They become frightened. They become frightened for 2 reasons. Number 1, because as I said earlier, you begin to start to have to mourn how you've been harmed. You will start to feel, you'll start to go into feelings of victimization. You'll start to feel anxious and angry and cranky. and maybe you'll cry for no reason. Maybe you'll feel like you're on the edge emotionally. That's because you are mourning the pain that you have experienced by not being loved in this dimension. And the second one is, it's very closely connected. The anxiety comes from the very real phenomenon of dying to your three-dimensional self. Your three-dimensional self loves being a victim, loves being angry, loves being afraid, because those feelings actually solidify you into the third dimension. This is why people can be talking about ascending to the fifth dimension while self-righteously talking about how evil the elites are. Trust me, I know how evil the elites are, but I have nothing but compassion for them. I'm sad for what they're doing to themselves and to the earth, but I have nothing but compassion for them, and I would welcome every single one of them if they chose to ascend to a higher level. Without any, instant forgiveness for all sins. Moving on. Imagine your perfect reality in meditation. So this one is important. Think about the perfect place you would like to live. And don't skimp. Really, really go deep into how amazing and wonderful the world is you want to create. Do that in meditation. In fact, whenever you feel doubtful, fearful, whenever you feel afraid, whenever you feel life isn't going your way, stop and start imagining the reality that you want. This will help you shift up. And then number 10, see the perfection in every person. I already mentioned that. Okay, so I've said this before, but I'm saying it again because we need to be reminded of it. And these are things we can do to choose to shift. So now I'll take a look at your opinions. Remember, that's not really what I want. I'd much prefer your questions. And let me explain to you why. When you state an opinion, you're locked in. If you have an opinion, you are locked in and you're not open to anything different. So unless somebody asks you, or unless you go onto your own channel, or you write your own books or something like that, and you want to put your opinions out to the world because you think they're important, unless you're doing something like that, if you're interacting with somebody like me, it's good to stay in a mindset where you are open to learn, open to change, open to something different. You can't do that while expressing an opinion. So that's why I don't recommend that. You never see people do that. Nobody walks into a college course and first thing they do, raise their hand and start giving opinions about the lecture. The professor is going to go, why don't you come up here and teach the class? No, you go into a class to learn something. So you have to have an open mind. Questions are something that the higher dimensional beings love. If your questions are honest, if they're coming from, if you're aware of the emotional need behind your question, the light beings love to help you shift. So having honest questions is it's a warrior's thing because it keeps you open. You can't be closed off and afraid while asking a question unless you're being sarcastic or passive aggressive. And the second thing that I recommend is that you share your feelings. Get used to having your fears, your negative feelings, and being able to verbalize them. The light beings love that also, because if you're in pain and you're willing to share that pain, they will want to come and help you. So questions and feelings are the things that I ask the most, not your opinions. Having said that, those that you have dropped some opinions, I'm going to take a look here. Yeah, and you should know better, Rivera. Opinion. It's just a suggestion. which one is it? Is it an opinion or is it a suggestion? Those are two different things. It would be nice to hear more about soul contracts. So you're not owning this. Saying this is an opinion is meaningless. You want to hear about soul contracts. I don't know why. I'm much more interested in knowing why you want to know about that, because if I can get past your need to intellectualize soul contracts, I can get to what the emotions are that you're trying to work through, which is what I'm trying to help you with. So when you come up here and throw an opinion and give me a suggestion, you're not sharing your feelings from a place of vulnerability, which means I can't help you. You're trying to control me and tell me what to do. And that isn't a good way to interact with me. I'm not a jukebox. You don't put a quarter in me and out comes a candy bar. So you have to be more vulnerable in this process, and that, and it would be helpful for you if you had a counselor, a teacher, because I can't teach you just through the chat function. So you want me to talk more about soul contracts, not just before we were born, but mainly the ones we create while we're alive in the 3D. That's interesting to me. I need to know why. There's something deeper than that. This isn't something that you're just sort of sitting around, that soul contract thing's kind of interesting. That's not what's happening. There's something that you have a deep emotional connection to about your soul contracts. If I go deeper in it, I'm willing to bet there's some codependent pain associated with that, which is why you want to keep asking about soul contracts. And you're spiritualizing it as opposed to looking at, interacting with other people, doing things for other people or what they do for you. In any case, this isn't really something that I can, first off, you want me to start talking about something I'm not interested in. Doesn't help you. You have to get me interested, and the way you do that is by sharing your feelings. So just to give you an idea, instead of giving an opinion and a suggestion, if you had said feeling, I have really strong pain associated with the idea of how I'm supposed to help my kids. I have a lot of anger towards my ex-husband who didn't fulfill his, that kind of stuff is really what's behind all this soul contract thing. Maybe not those exact examples, but that's what's behind what you're asking. Remember, I can see what's going on. The key to this is to be honest and vulnerable with your feelings. Asking questions, sharing feelings. That's why. Opinion again. I'm still trying to visualize a world is only about meditation and art. What about stuff like martial arts would exist? What? Today is my first pay-per-view SmackDown. I don't know what you're asking me. I don't understand that. Opinion again. It would make me sad not to see creative wrestling anymore. That's not an opinion, that's a feeling. So you can share that. Saying it makes me sad is not an opinion. It's a feeling. Do you understand the difference? A feeling creates a connection. An opinion doesn't. So again, people don't know the meanings of these words. And that's not their fault. We live in a society that doesn't communicate very well. And it's really important to know the difference between an opinion and a feeling. What you just shared is a feeling. Anyways. Your physical issues can probably be dealt with if you go to therapy. If you take a look at, there's a lot of damage. You're carrying a lot of wounds emotionally inside, and they need to be dealt with. The sad part is I can't do that in these live chat things. This takes years of dealing with somebody on a regular basis. Do the exercises that I have here and the free stuff, and take responsibility for your physical illnesses. This is for everybody. And I'm talking, again, somebody that's done it. I've healed myself more times than I can imagine of very serious physical problems. And so I can tell you from personal experience that you can do it. But you have to do but I also, been working 12 steps for 40 years. I've been in therapy for almost that long. And I'm on a daily basis, taking responsibility for my physical state. So don't accept all of your illnesses, all of your limitations. It means that there's a wound inside of you that has not been dealt with. So go find wherever you can get help to take a look at those things. Don't just accept them. Don't say, I have this, I have that, and then just put it into stone as though those things can't change. I've healed myself of things that doctors either have or would have told me those are lifelong issues, they're never going to go away. And I've healed myself of more things than I can count. So if I can do it, you can do it. Go look at my videos on TMS, so you can look that up. Tension myositis syndrome. Go look at those things. Not just Rivera, but everybody listening who understands what I'm saying. If your bones are fading, it means that there's something going on. You don't have to accept that. I'm not trying to take away or minimize what you're going through, but don't just accept that. You've got to be willing to face the painful feelings and heal yourself. Illness is self-directed hatred. And it's hard to hear, but that's my experience based on I've known people with life-threatening illnesses that you wouldn't even begin to believe who've healed themselves. And they'll tell you the same thing. All illnesses, all disorders, all those things are self-directed negativity. Unless you're 100 years old. I'm 60 years old. So I've healed myself of all those age-related things. So if I can do it, you can do it. Rivera, write the word question in all caps, please. I tend to wonder sometimes the underworld is in the fifth dimension. That's not a question. The question is the underworld in the fifth dimension? Telling me that you wonder about it is something else. So you're asking me, is the underworld in the fifth dimension? No. I'm more interested in why you would ask that. Rivera, question. The way you gained weight was using lightning qigong. What? What are you talking about? When did I ever talk about... well, first off, gaining weight has never been a problem for me. So I don't have a problem with that. But in the past 5 or so years, I have gained weight, and that's because I went to the gym and I started powerlifting and lifting really heavy weights. So I gained a lot of muscle. So no. Are you telling me that you need to gain weight? That's an issue I can't necessarily help you with. But lightning qigong isn't designed to help you gain or lose weight. It's something else altogether. Another opinion. Sorry for giving an opinion. That's a feeling, not an opinion. Feeling. I'm ready to get roasted. That's not a feeling. All right. What else? That's not a question. Feeling. I did CE5 and asked Saturn and Kali a question. Got an answer the next day. Literally amazing. I'd be going rogue here. Okay. Feeling. Imagine seeing yourself in Jeffrey Epstein. Hard. What is that? Really, seriously, Rivera, you're all over the map here. Nothing personal, but you are all over the map. You don't really know the difference between a question, a feeling, an opinion. It would be helpful for you to try and figure that out. 2014.com question. How do I stay grounded and remind myself what I've learned to be connected with my higher self? How do you stay grounded? Are you trying to ask me how? Because this is a question I ask myself on a daily basis. How do you stay grounded while simultaneously experience your higher extraterrestrial God self? Very good question. You just do. So anybody who's doing interdimensional meditation, every one of you is going to have a different experience, and you're going to have a different level of intensity. I just need to say that CE5 is like a muscle. Interdimensional meditation is like a muscle. You have to work it out on a regular basis. The first 2 times I did CE5, I didn't have any experience, not because they weren't there talking to me, I just couldn't hear them. So I had to work hard to be able, and I made it clear to them, listen, do whatever you have to do to crack me open here. I knew that I was a tough nut to crack, and I made it clear, listen, I'm giving you permission to do whatever you need to do. And I wouldn't recommend people go through what I went through, but that's how committed I was to it. So when you do when you do interdimensional meditation, or if you have a powerful CE5 experience, every time you're successful with that, the boundaries between the 3rd and the 5th dimension are open. There's a portal where higher dimensional energy comes to you. Whenever that happens, even if it's a blissful experience, part of you dies. Part of your third dimensional self dies. So when that happens, your unconscious and your body and your 3D intellect are then going to fight back. And they fight back by gaslighting you out of the experience, telling you, I don't think that really happened. I think I just sort of made that up. Or you might become frightened. You might become sad. These are normal things that happen as a result of experiencing a death. And every single time I go and interact with them. Now, again, I'm not you. So what they say to you and what they say to me could be different. I don't know. But the stuff they tell me is so unbelievably grandiose that I haven't even mentioned it. I kind of started talking about it in my first book, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. But and I don't talk about it because I just don't see the benefit. I could be wrong about that, but it just, I'm not going to sit here and it'll sound like I'm just, bragging or something. So I don't talk about the majority of the stuff they tell me about me. But whenever I do that and I seek to learn that and experience that, oftentimes when I come out of it, I'll feel kind of, I'll feel sadness, I'll feel fear, I'll feel traumatized, which is interesting. Somebody comes and tells you what an amazing person you are. Usually it doesn't traumatize you. But when we're talking about somebody revealing to you what you're like in a higher dimension, it's traumatizing to your third dimensional self. So, your question, how do you stay grounded while at the same time expanding into your higher dimensional self? You take everything that is told to you at face value. So if they come to you and they tell you you are ruler of the universe, you're going to go, how can that possibly be? I can barely get out of bed. I can barely tie my shoes. How can I possibly be ruler of the universe? So you just simply accept it on face value that that's something that's true about you in reality, as opposed to this illusion world. You accept it at face value being true. And then number 2, you don't try and figure it out. So stop trying to figure it out. That'll hurt you. I've physically hurt myself trying to figure this stuff out. So I don't do that. I take everything they tell me at face value. I don't try and figure it out. And then I don't get attached to it. So I don't allow my ego to attach to, what's going to happen and how I'm going to be and how the future is going to be. I don't get attached to it. I just allow it to be true without me having to physically see or experiencing it in the third dimension. And that takes, that's a skill. That's a meditative skill. The other thing to do is to keep doing the whole breath. The whole breath, those of you on my channel, that is the most grounding thing you can do. And it's probably why I was given that so many years ago. So that's my answer to that question. So Rivera, you're feeling, imagine seeing yourself in Jeffrey Epstein is hard. Here's what I know from that. You can guess. There's been some people have hurt you. You have to work through that pain. You have to face that pain. You need to get into therapy. If you hang on to that, you don't do anything with it. No wonder your bones are going away. I already know there's major unresolved trauma within you. You're going to need to get some therapy. And I don't know where you need to go, but you need to go get it. Because you shouldn't have to walk around with that inside of you. So I encourage you to go find some help. So that's 2014.com. Timothy Zoll, honest feeling. Glad to have you back on live streams. I'm glad that you're glad. This live stream is going somewhere. Yesterday nobody showed up, so I was like, well, maybe I should stop doing it. Rivera, question. So in what dimension is the underworld at? Why are you asking this question? And the reason why I'm getting annoyed with you is because I can tell you have an emotional attachment to the underworld. What is your beef with the underworld? Why are you so obsessed with it? What if I tell you what dimension it is, how does that help you? I don't have an answer for you because it doesn't matter to me. I've been to the underworld before. By the way, I don't think the underworld is what you think it is. The underworld is nothing more than your unconscious mind. So your underworld is in your own mind. It means that you're afraid of your own unconscious negativity. And you do need to take a look at it. So the underworld is within you. And I recommend you to find somebody to help you go there. Feel all those feelings, release all that stuff, so that way you don't have to worry about what dimension it's in. Oh, and you even say, I know it's for healing past trauma when one passes away. Now, it's also for healing trauma when you're alive. You don't have to pass away. The underworld is here with you right now. It's called your unconscious, unresolved feelings. Laura, question. I got brain trauma as a very young child. Is it because I have self-hate? I can't answer that question. I don't know enough about it. But your question, the first thing is, it's not your fault. So if you're thinking that I'm telling you that something like that, having brain trauma as a kid, is not the same as, living your life filled with anger and self-hatred because your parents didn't love you. Having something like that happen is karmic. So you're not going to like my answer. But something like that, you're born with, one leg. You're born, you have a disease that you're born with. Or something like that happens. There's an accident that happens when you're a little kid. That is something that's karmic. And it means that your soul, before coming into this particular lifetime, your soul got together with your guides and other people, and you said, there's this one thing that I keep trying to learn, and I'm not quite learning it when I go down into 3D. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to limit myself in this way so that I can learn something. Self-reliance, self-love, faith in the universe, something like that. So I would say take a look at what you've done to overcome this, because you obviously are. You keep showing up on this channel and you keep doing the work, so you're obviously working towards that. You've had a great, something good happen to you recently. I think your living situation improved. So you're going in the right direction and you're making strides. It means that you're overcoming whatever this limitation is. So the question isn't, do you have self-hate? Did you do it to yourself? Or the question is, what are you learning by overcoming it? That to me is a better question. Who is that? Ria Sunshine. Question: is it normal to feel massive tingling after doing an interdimensional meditation? Yeah, big time. Interdimensional meditation is, I named it that for a reason. I've been doing meditation my whole life. I've been doing energy work my whole adult life. So I know what energy feels like, and the tingling you get from doing, for instance, the Mao Shan practices, maoshan.thunderwizard.com, the lightning qigong. You'll get tingling from doing that, and you'll even get some higher dimensional feelings from it. In fact, if you spend a lot of time doing it, you can open up a portal to higher dimensions, which is what it was originally for. But now we have a shortcut. Interdimensional meditation gives you direct access to energies that people would have to spend multiple lifetimes working up towards. This is how amazing interdimensional meditation is. So it is absolutely normal after doing interdimensional meditation to feel huge amounts of tingling, especially in the heart center. But you'll feel it in all of your body. In fact, depending on the being that's interacting with you and what dimension they're coming from. One time, all of a sudden, just my right arm started tingling like crazy. And I didn't know what it was, but it was a certain being from a certain dimension, and that's, the effect that being had on me. So yes, the short answer is yes. It means that you're feeling energy from a higher dimension, probably coming directly from a higher dimensional being. That's how you know they're in the room, by the way. If you do CE5 meditation and then you invite them to come and you stay in meditation and you wait for them to show up, all of a sudden, if you feel this energy just like go through your body, it means that they've arrived. They've beamed into your room or something. Sherry, question: do you see these beings with your eyes? I saw a huge red orb once. But the only reason that happened was because that being was trying to get my attention. What I mean huge, I mean it was in the sky. It looked like the size of a football field. It was this electric ruby red orb, and it was coming down out of the clouds. And as soon as I saw it, it disappeared. So it was just trying to get my attention. So these beings, to answer your question, these higher dimensional beings are in higher dimensions, which means that you could be standing right next to a fifth dimensional being, but you won't see it. If they want you to, you'll feel their presence, but you won't see them. So, if you're seeing these beings with your eyes, it means that you're either able to visually see into another dimension, or you're seeing with your third eye. This is the difference between the fake alien abductions, which are all done in the three-dimensional realm. People see these beings, they feel them, they touch them. That is how you know it's fake. And let me explain why. There are no planets close enough to Earth that have three-dimensional beings on them who could travel the distance from their planet to ours in their lifetime. Because it's impossible in the third dimension to go faster than the speed of light. So that's why these so-called aliens that show up from Zeta Reticuli, that's how you know they're fake. Even if you see one of these little gray beings walking around and they talk to you and they make you float and they do all kinds of stuff, it's done by humans with tremendously high technology that you don't know anything about. And the way you know it's human is because you see them physically. They touch you physically. That's in the third dimension. There are no third dimensional civilizations that could make it to Earth. It's impossible because they can't go faster than the speed of light. There's nobody close enough to do that. So it means that aliens that abduct are not extraterrestrial. They are from Earth. And I'll leave it at that. Otherwise, YouTube will ban me like it did before. And extraterrestrial beings, these are beings that are on a higher dimensional level. Now, beings on a higher dimensional level can travel instantly. They can travel millions or billions of light years in the blink of an eye, because the rules of physics are different for them. And space-time is different for them than it is for us. So I'm not seeing these beings with my eyeballs, except for that one time I told you about. And again, that gives you an idea of how reticent these beings are to doing anything in the third dimension. When people do CE5 and they see lights, bouncing around, once you start meditating with them, they stop doing that. And they stop doing that because they only give, do the orbs and the lights that go through the sky. They only do that so that you will accept that higher dimensional beings exist. Once you're able to then hear them telepathically, energetically communicate with them, and you create a connection with them, they will, at least in my case, they stopped doing any of that. So I never see orbs or lights in the sky or anything like that. I'm not obsessed, trying to find ETs. Every now and then they've showed up. I mean, besides that one orb, there have been times when there was a lot of things going on and they've showed up and done, something in the sky that was clearly, that was a higher dimensional being, playing with lights and, pretending to be a falling star or something like that. And it was always because I was struggling with something and they wanted to let me know that they were there to support me. And so they had to get my attention. But my interactions with them have gone to such a deep level that I don't need that anymore. I'd be happy to see it, but I just don't, it doesn't, it's like, I try to use this example a lot. It's like if your next door neighbor says, oh, Mary Smith? Oh yeah, I know Mary Smith. Oh, she wants to talk to you. That would be like you saying, okay, well, I have to wait until I see her driving her car. What kind of car does she have? And you'd be like, well, why don't you just text her? Why don't you just call her? Here's her number. No, I have to see her car first. What kind of car does she have? That's what people, this obsession with seeing, extraterrestrial spaceships, that's like identifying somebody just with their car. It's really superficial. That's why I don't give a crap about it anymore. So you didn't ask all that stuff. You just wanted to know how I see them. Sophia Palumbo question, by accession, I don't know what you mean by accession. What does that mean? By accession, is there a split in worlds? I don't know what you're asking. I don't know what that means. I.e., 3D exists still, yet ascended ones are in. It's not a split in worlds. It's not that at all. These, I encourage you to go onto YouTube and just type in, fourth dimension. What is the fifth dimension? Listen to physics professors explain what these things are. There's not a split in the world. Like the fifth dimension isn't like a copy of our world, but in another universe. It's not what's happening at all. The fifth dimension is the actual fifth dimension, not necessarily what people talk about when they say, shifting to 5D. They're usually talking about something else. The actual fifth dimension is a dimension that exists in the same place ours does, but it is so different. It is so strange and different and powerful that we can't even begin to think about it. So even if fifth dimensional beings can be talking to you, waving at you, you won't see them. They walk right through you. You won't even know they're there. These dimensions are on top of each other in ways that I can't comprehend even. So it's not like there's a split and then there's this third dimension and then there's this other dimension. It's like here's a bubble and here's another bubble. Imagine the bubbles are intertwined on top of each other. But if you don't have the ability, if you aren't part of the fifth dimension, you won't see it. You won't see it, you won't experience it. But a fifth dimensional being, if they want to, can slow themselves down into the third dimension if they choose to. But why would they want to do that? It's so much nicer there in the fifth dimension. Why would they want to do that? So it's our job to try and reach up to them. But anyway, do some research on dimensions from a physics perspective, because you're not seeing it quite right. I understand your question, but it's not the way you're describing it. Okay, I'm happy, Rivera, that this channel has helped you. I need to tell you this, Rivera, you can't work on your trauma alone. You can't do it alone. When something's broken in their thinking, you can't use your thinking to fix your thinking. If something's broken with your feelings, you can't use your feelings to fix your feelings. You need help. So you need to get a therapist. You need to get a counselor. You need to get somebody who can help you. I'm glad that you want to work on it, but you're going to have to work on it with a professional. Because I don't know your specifics and I don't need to know, but I can already tell the trauma you've experienced is extensive. And you deserve healing. So I recommend that you go find that. Find a 12-step group. There's no shortage of them. Anyway, personal question. What is this personal question? Why did you have to put personal question? I guess I'll read it and find out. What is your ideal community and classroom like? Well, that doesn't have to be a personal question. It's just a question. I don't know what you mean by that. What is my ideal community and classroom like? Depends on what I'm teaching. I don't know why you're asking. You say you love me very much. Thank you for that. I'm glad that you want me to be happy. You want me to be happy in my classroom. The thing is, online is different than in person. So if I were teaching, which I hope to do, my hope is to start teaching shamanic drumming again. My hope is to teach live classes. My hope is at some point to have people show up for, a satsang, which really would be me sitting and doing what I do here and answering questions live. I hope that I'm able to do that, but I first have to secure my living situation before I start doing that. But maybe that's an answer to your question. Zeralath, honest feeling. Zeralath should know better. You got to write that in all caps. A month into phase 3, as the new practice sinks in, it gets so much fun. I'm happy to hear that, my friend. Oh, ascension. All right, so Rivera is helping me understand that accession means ascension. So, by ascension, is there a split in the worlds? I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, because ascension, I don't even know what that's going to mean yet. People say shift to the 5th dimension. And what I know about the fifth dimension is so bizarrely different from our third dimension. I don't know that that's what is going to happen. By the way, the ETs do not use those phrases. They don't say 5D, they don't say ascension, they don't use those phrases with me. So, these are words that human beings use. And people, by the way, are throwing around the word 5D without knowing what it means. And that's okay. I'm happy to use that phrase because people understand it. But if we were to shift into the fifth dimension, and I don't know why I'm getting hit with something as I say that, but if we were to shift in the fifth dimension, it would be so completely bizarre and so different from this that we can't even begin to comprehend it. While we're on that, what they've been telling me for a while now, but it's sort of increasing. And I hesitate to say it because what if it doesn't happen? I don't know. But they've been giving me the feeling that some major shift is coming. And when I ask about it, I say, what do you mean? What's coming? The response will be, you wouldn't understand it yet. But just be prepared. Something really profound and amazing is coming. A big shift is coming. So, I don't know, maybe we will shift into a completely different dimension. But to help you understand what that would be like, I encourage people to go and watch a video on YouTube by Carl Sagan. I think it's called The Fourth Dimension. And he first, in order to help us understand how different the fourth dimension would be, which by the way is space-time, he talks about the difference between our dimension and the second dimension. And when you understand how completely different it is, for instance, if you're in 2D, nobody knows what up or down is. Those words are meaningless. If you tried to explain up or down to a two-dimensional being, they would be incapable of understanding you. They wouldn't be able to imagine it. How could you possibly imagine it? So when we start talking about the fifth dimension, there's literally no way to imagine it. It is so far beyond our understanding. So asking me, about ascension, what was it? You called it accession. By ascension, is there a split in the worlds? It's not a split. It's not like there's a third dimension here which is bad, and then there's another exact dimension which has, Skittles on the trees and people all full of love, but it's exactly the same. I don't know that that's impossible, but that's not what it means to shift dimensions. To answer your question, I don't know what the ascended world is going to look like. What I know is that there won't be any negative feelings like hatred, fear. There won't be a need for governments. There won't be a need for banks. There won't be a need for armies. There won't be a need for petroleum. That much I know. That there's going to be something that happens if what I've been told is true. There's going to be something that happens that everybody on earth will see with their eyeballs. They will see something that will be so different that it will get everybody's attention. It will have such intense spiritual power to it that everybody will think that God is coming. Whatever that is. If they're a Christian, they'll think it's Jesus' second coming. If they're, a Buddha, it's Buddha's coming. If they're a Hindu, it'll be, Kalki, the avatar. If they're Hopi, it's going to be, their savior. But there's going to be something that will happen that everybody will see, and there will be such spiritual energy associated with it that people will think God is coming. And then they will very quickly realize that it has nothing to do with their religion. And people will drop their religion right then and there. And they will be connected directly to, higher dimension energy, which is pure love. There will be an awareness that, oh my God, this is what we are. All of us are love. We are consciousness. We are love. Oh, there's no need for any of this stuff. I mean, everything's going to shift. If that experience that was shown me is accurate, that's what's going to happen. That's all I know. When I asked them, when they showed this to me, I said, what's going to be the thing in the sky? Is it going to be fleets of spaceships? And they said, no. It will be a series of solar waves of love that will continuously hit the earth. And the feeling was that as the waves keep hitting earth, that it will just overwhelm everybody's 3D mindset and their 3D armor and their fear, and everybody will eventually wake up. That was the feeling I got. So other than that, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, and I don't think anybody in the third dimension does. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's see what else. Comment. I don't understand people. I keep telling people exactly what to do. I want a question or I want a feeling, and people write down opinion or comment. It's like you guys don't listen to me. All right, and you're just okay. So you're agreeing with me, and so good. So I'm glad I'm making sense to you. That I'm happy to hear that. And you said something that really is important to me, which is you're now feeling. Sherry's sharing a comment, and she feels a presence near her. This is what I want more than anything. What I want to do is I want to be able, in whatever way I can, to help open doorways for people. And if I could walk in a room and snap my fingers and open up a portal so that everybody could feel it, I'd do it. So it makes me happy to hear that this process is, you're able to feel them near you. Rovera feeling. When you said that we humans decided to create animals and plants before coming to incarnate on Earth, that was amazing to me. Wow, good. That's how powerful you are. I'm happy that was helpful for you. 2014.com question. What chakra should I work on to help take actions? I'm spending too much time thinking. So you have a misunderstanding about how the chakras work. Chakras are not something that you can open. Chakras are not something that you can, people try and open their third eye. The only chakra, by the way, that I think people should spend their time on trying to open is the heart chakra. And that one is very simple. That one, love, compassion, self-love really is the most powerful. Learning how to love yourself. Crying over trauma and pain will open up the heart. That's really the only chakra, I think. But 2014.com, it makes me want to ask you, are you doing any of the exercises that I teach? That's the kind of question somebody asks if they're not doing the practices. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. If you're not subscribed to the Warrior Lightning Qigong, I recommend that. If you do that, you won't have to worry about what chakra. You won't try and have to figure it out. You'll just do the practice, and the practice will guide you towards the shift. If you don't want to do that, go do the Hul breath. Do the Hul breath a half an hour every day. Do the Huar breath. But stop trying to figure out which chakra. You are right. You're trying too hard to control things and figure it out. And it's not about that. It's not like going into the gym and figuring out which exercise should I do. Should I do curls or should I do... No, it's something else. But do some energy practices. I also hear you saying that you don't feel like you can take action. So the first thing to do is to know what actions to take. The way you know what actions to take is to find out what it is that you want from life. And then go make that happen. The only thing that will stop you from taking action is fear. And no amount of thinking is going to, no amount of working on a chakra is going to get rid of your fear. That's kind of what you're really asking me. You're saying, how can I get rid of my fear so that I can take actions on what my soul is telling me to do? And there's no amount of thinking and control and getting rid of feelings. The more that you take actions on your soul, the more fear you're going to experience. So just get used to it. My ancestors said, those that die in battle go to Valhalla. They didn't say those who figure out how not to have any fear are the ones who, no, they said those who die in battle, meaning those who get up off their ass and go do it, even though they know they're going to die. So fear is, like that. You think you're going to die on some level. So just get over it. Take the action. Stop trying to feel perfect before you act. Stop trying to figure out which chakra. Stop trying to think it through. You know what you want to do, just go do it. Again, this is coming from personal experience. The strange thing is I talk a lot about surfing. But I would say 80% of the time when I wake up, I don't want to go. Like, I'm afraid of going out in the cold water, even though the water here is not cold. I'm afraid of going out in the big waves. I'm afraid of, I'm too old. I have fear around a lot of things that I do. I've just trained myself to just take the actions regardless of my feelings. And if you guys can hear that and just do it without trying to fix and get rid of the feelings and feel right before you do it, you'll be a lot better off. So hopefully that helps. Ria Sunshine, feeling. I tried CE5 last week. I had a lucid dream of flying very fast that night. Woke up with a happily fluttering heart center instead. Happily the heart center lasted all day. Most of the excitement I felt a while slept 4 hours. That was very successful. That means that you were successful. Good for you. That sounds like an awesome experience. Zerlath Immortal question. Have you heard the theory that in 2020, all the 2012 timelines collapsed like Schrodinger's cat? I haven't heard that. How's that for an answer? Again, Zerlath, that's not really a question. That's sort of asking me, did you, what kind of underarm deodorant? The question is, you want me to tell you something I have that you don't know that you think I do. Asking me if I've heard what somebody said, it's not really a question. It's an interesting thing, but no, I haven't heard that. Rivera, feeling. Yes, I hope no one gets left out, because yes, dimensions, I imagine, are so different. When I hear shift or ascension, is like completely moving somewhere else but on the same planet. I didn't hear a feeling in that. You hope no one gets left out. You're afraid people will get left. If you're afraid people are going to get left behind, it means that you unconsciously are afraid you're going to get left behind. So that's the deeper understanding of that feeling. And as long as you make the decision that you're going to shift, and as long as you keep taking the actions to do that, you will make it. Everybody that wants to will make it. Nobody's going to get, it's not like Christianity where, Jesus comes and it's the rapture and then the unbelievers are left behind. That kind of nonsense isn't going to happen. If people aren't going to make the shift, it will be because they choose not to. And it will be because they can't tolerate the feelings that come from the higher dimensions. And they will say, I don't want that. I want to stay here. But I don't know if that's going to happen. A lot of people believe that. I haven't made up my mind about it yet. I don't like that idea, but if it's because people truly, honestly, consciously choose, then I'm okay with that. Comment, again, comments, Sherry, I prefer questions or feelings. You say, I feel a big shift is coming also. I'm just not sure when. It feels possibly close, like maybe in the next 2 years. I don't know when it's going to happen either. When they tell, they've told me some things that haven't happened yet about me personally, in my personal life. And the words that come through my brain was tomorrow. Tomorrow came and went, and many tomorrows came and went, and what they said was going to happen for me didn't happen. And so they don't function on that level because, again, they're not in 3D space-time. 3D is our physical dimension. Time is something that flows through. So 3D space-time is really the third and the fourth dimension. That's why we don't go from 3D to 4D like a lot of people say. We go from 3D to 5D because the fourth dimension is time. In the fifth dimension, time is not something that is constantly shifting from past to future. In fact, time is not at all. I've talked about it before. I won't take up the time to talk about it here, but so when they say something is coming really soon, it could mean tomorrow or it could mean next year. For them, it's very immediate. For us, so this is why when you communicate with them, you take everything they say at face value and then don't be attached to it. This is one of the other reasons, because the way they experience things and the way we experience things are totally different. Rivera, okay, that's not a question. Let's see, that's not a question. Okay, Rivera, that's not a feeling. You're talking to me about your thought process. That's not a feeling. Rivera, feeling. That's not a feeling. You're just talking things out. Again, a feeling is an emotion. I'm sad. I'm happy. What you're talking, you're putting down a thought. So I appreciate that you're trying to communicate. I can see here that it will be very, very helpful for you to get into some therapy and learn the difference between a feeling and a thought and an opinion. These are all different. And I don't know that you know that, and it's very, very common. A lot of people don't. But it will be very helpful for you to learn actual emotions versus thoughts versus opinions. Zerlath Immortal. That's also not an opinion. Again, you've got to throw an emotion in there. You say, opening the heart to me as a Libra ascendant is being vulnerable to establish trust. You've shared an opinion, a thought. What is your feeling about that? That's what's missing. You didn't voice a feeling. Why is this important? Because people think they're communicating to people and they think they're sharing their feelings and they're not. And have you ever been in like arguments with somebody who says, you never share your feelings with me? And you go, what are you talking about? I share my feelings with you all the time. It's because you have a lot of feelings when you are talking about your thoughts. For example, people do this on my channel all the time. They'll go, feeling. I think Jesus is the Lord and you should accept him. They'll go, that's not a feeling, that's an opinion. But they said, no, I really feel Jesus is Lord. What they don't understand is that they have a lot of emotions that encase their opinion. So the appropriate feeling in that point would be to say, I'm angry at you that you don't accept Jesus as Lord. I'm angry that you don't think my opinion of Jesus is correct. I'm afraid for you, you're going to go to hell. Those are all feelings. But see, people don't share them. They just share the, I feel that Jesus is Lord. And you think that somebody listening to you is experiencing your feelings, but they're not. What they experience is intensity. And then they get hit in the face with a thought or an opinion. And what people don't realize is that, and I'm not saying you guys are doing this, but what people don't realize is when they don't share their feelings, but they share their opinions and their thoughts, that there's a lot of feelings around, what you're really doing is, in many cases, you're trying to control people. You should accept Jesus. Why? Well, because I feel he's Lord. You should do that. Not, I really care about you and I believe that Jesus is Lord and I want you to be saved, so I really don't want to be without you. I'm afraid of being alone without you, so I want you to become a Christian. Or I'm intimidated if you don't believe the same way I do, so I want you to believe the way I do. Those are feelings. See the difference? And this is all basic stuff that, this is why counseling is a really good thing. This is why 12-step work is a really good thing, because you learn these basics that most people, well, I don't know about not most, but many people never learn. People in dysfunctional families never learn this. They do what I just described. Let's see. 2014.com feeling. I have extreme gratitude to get direct answers from you with such honest and insightful knowledge. I hope you know how amazing you are. The ETs are 100% right about you. A very kind thing to say. Thank you. That makes me feel good. Thank you for saying that. Rivera, yeah, okay. So thanking you for my time. All right. Thank you guys so much. Looks like we're coming to the end. Hopefully that was helpful for you. You know the drill, man. This channel is about the work. It's not about the talking. It's about doing the work. Really, the best way to use this channel is to do the work. And then you get me to go into depth about this kind of stuff. Then you can apply all of what I'm saying into the work that you're doing. And what is the work that you're doing? Starts here, thunderwizard.com. Go to Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Subscribe. You don't have to subscribe forever. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. Go and find the videos, press play, simply just do what I tell you to do in the video. You will have an experience. You'll have all three of the energies, Kundalini, Chi, and the lightning center of the heart. You won't find that anywhere else in history, not just on the internet or in the world. You won't find that in history. I'm the only person, to the best of my knowledge, that's synthesized these three. Again, now I know why I was born. It was for this reason. Took me 60 years to figure out what my purpose is here on Earth. And if you don't want to do that, do the free stuff. Go onto the YouTube channel page and look for the playlists. Courses.thunderwizard.com, all of the other stuff and services. And again, my books. I don't know why these books aren't flying off the virtual shelves. Interdimensional Revolution. Extraterrestrials are coming to Earth. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Odin Says Jesus Was a Coward. All of these books you need to read. You can go to Amazon, Kindle, or Audible. Some of them I read them for you here on the channel. I can't make it any easier than that. But go check those out. And of course the Interdimensional Meditation course, which is part of the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. All right, let's see. Did something come up here before I left? Sophia Palumbo question, what are your thoughts as to coronation of the King of England on full moon, symbolically representing those ascending? Sophia, it is technically a question. It's not the kind of question I like. Questions about what are your thoughts on are too general. I don't like it. I don't have any thoughts about it. I don't care one way or another. Good for him. I don't know. I have very little interest in politics these days. So I don't have an answer to your question. Sorry. Zerla Ria Sunshine feeling. I bought your book. It was an eye opener. and lifted the burden of false assumptions. That's great. I still didn't hear the feeling that makes you happy, makes you excited. Put an emotion. A feeling is an emotion. Like, write down an emotion. And I'm telling you this because people in your life will appreciate it if you say, I felt really happy when. I felt really sad when. I felt really excited when. People will appreciate hearing the emotion being spoken to them. All right. That's it. Thanks, guys, for showing up. I appreciate it. All right. I'll keep doing the live streams. If this is what we can expect, I'll keep doing them. All right. That's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Remember also, we've got the 6-phase ascension process to 5D. There are some slots left. This is for people who are really serious about ascension or people who are really struggling with it. And I will work with you once a month for 6 months doing all of these 6 phases that I myself am going through. Go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. Thank you. That was a feeling. Ria Sunshine says, I felt relieved when I read Interdimensional Revolution. It lifted the burden. Very good. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm all done. I am now going to take a nap. I'm tired from surfing. Surfing was awesome today. I didn't want to go, but I took action even though I didn't want to, and I was so happy I did. Okay, guys, that's it. See you soon.